There were 3 African-American churches that were burned in Louisiana. Now, all of them was done in a succession within 10 days. Now, I want to go ahead and roll you this clip.
Very concerned, but I'm very optimistic because God, our faith is in God.
3 historic churches, all destroyed by fire in less than 2 weeks, now seeking answers.
We believe it's suspicious. We're certainly treating these fires from the beginning as crime scenes.
The churches have predominantly African-American congregations. Louisiana State Fire Marshal alongside federal and local agencies are investigating the cause of the fires. Officials haven't said if they're related.
However, we're very cognizant that there is a problem, and there is no coincidence that there are 3 fires.
The first at St. Mary Baptist Church on March 26th. Then on April 2nd, a fire destroyed Greater Union Baptist Church. Just 2 days later, a 3rd fire destroyed Mount Pleasant Baptist Church on April 4th. Church leaders say their faith won't be rocked and services will go on.
Did I want to be at this point? No, I would rather not. But this is God's plan. Yeah. He allowed it, and I believe He brought me here. He's going to bring me through this.
Each of the churches has made temporary arrangements in other buildings.
Pastor Gerald Toussaint's congregation is visiting this house of worship.
What's done in the dark will come to the light.
Because their church was destroyed.
Why? Why would they do that?
His is the 3rd Black Baptist church to burn in 10 days in the same South Louisiana parish. A rural area where religion is present in most homes.
We are community connected. We all belong to the same district. We all know each other.
Shamika Mallet is also searching for answers.
Do you think this could be racially motivated?
Yes. I think it has something to do with race.
Her family has been attending St. Mary's Baptist for generations. Her mother and grandfather are buried behind the church. The only thing left, a few dozen Bible pages.
I think it's a sign.
The ATF and FBI have joined the investigation. Authorities aren't calling it arson yet, but say they found suspicious elements at each fire.
We do believe that crimes have occurred. We believe that the 3 fires obviously are not coincidental. They are related.
There's a long history of black churches being targeted in the South. Pastor Toussaint says he believes something good will rise from these ashes.
This caused us to call each other more than we ever called each other. This caused us to talk to each other more than we ever talked to each other.
He says the building is gone, but the church is still alive.
Now, the church that we saw in the news clip, this church has been around for 145 years. I mean, that is a very, very long time. Now, if you know anything about history in America, you know that white supremacists have always burned down churches because they wanted to use it as a intimidation tactic and also to make black people be in fear. This is terrorism, no different than the terrorism that happened in New Zealand. Today in Congress, they're talking about white nationalism and hatred that's spewed online, because this is where the white supremacists gather at, is different corners of the internet. And they radicalize themselves, and not just on YouTube, but most so on those places like Gab and 4chan, 8chan. They're unregulated. They can say whatever they want and play any kind of attacks, and they're constantly finding that after the fact. I promise you, if you start going to these white supremacist websites like the 8chans and the 4chans and certain places in Reddit, you probably will find them already making plans or planned it all online, because that's what they do. Same thing with Charlottesville. Everything was coordinated online, not on a Facebook or YouTube. I mean, places where everyone know, but it's those little dark corners, the Daily Stormer and all little places like that. That's where they go. Understand, we're dealing with a treacherous enemy, and they hate everybody. It's just bottom line. Even in their own history, they'll kill white folks if they stand in their way. So white supremacists, I've told you guys many times, it's the cancer of America. They are cancer. They are rotting this country from within. It's not a foreign power that's doing anything. It's them. And if they don't be brought to heel, then they're going to completely destroy this country. You see what happens when one of them get in the White House, who has those views or who are greatly sympathized towards white supremacists. You see what happens. Hate crimes increase, dissension increase. Everybody's at each other's throats because you have someone like that making these people feel comfortable doing what they're doing. Now, no one's going to call this domestic terrorism, but this news organization will call it domestic terrorism. White supremacists are terrorists. It's just that simple. And if you don't label them as terrorists, you minimize who they really are. They're capable of killing people in Charlottesville. They're capable of murdering 50 people at a mosque. They're capable of bombing federal buildings. They're capable of killing 9 people in the Mother Emanuel Church. I mean, these people don't play. They don't at all. And we have to understand that when we look at these white supremacists. They're not a joke to play with. They're burning these churches because they are dying out, for one, because they're pissed off about their birth rates. 2, we know that in the month of April is their month they want to rev up their white supremacist attacks. Now, they started burning these churches toward the end of March. Around the 26th is when the first church was burnt, and then now this one. Now, they stated that 200 miles away, there was a 4th church that was set on fire, but they don't know if it's connected to these 3. But they know these 3 is all connected. What are we saying here is, as a African-American person within this society, we must be on guard at all times. And even when we talk about these parishioners at these churches, let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. A church is not a building. According to the scriptures, it's supposed to be in you, right? So it don't matter where you go if that's what you want to do. Me personally, I can't get down with a lot of these things that happen in the modern church for a whole lot of reasons. Number one, you operating with a Bible that many books are taken out of. Who gave them authority to do that? Especially scriptures teach you don't add to or take away from the scriptures, right? Another issue I have is some of these same churches in our community, got these pictures of white Jesus. That's a problem for me as well. And some things that we aren't doing in our communities, even though we put all these ties in churches. That's why I just can't get down with what they're doing. But even though I disagree on a lot of things happening within the black church, it's still my brothers and sisters, and they should not be terrorized just because of the color of their skin. That's wrong. That's completely wrong. And these same people want to call themselves Christians. All these white supremacists say they're Christians, but I have to understand, when you follow an idol, because white Jesus is an idol, is not real. Everyone knows what the scriptures teach. Woolly hair, bronze skin. That's what the scriptures teach. Not that picture that you see, because only that stringy hair picture that you see will make them feel it's okay to go burn down a church. How are you going to burn down a church when you say you're a Christian? How are you going to kill someone when the scriptures teach that we're God's children, right? I mean, I'm talking about them. That's what they say their beliefs are. So that's why you can never believe them when they tell you they're a Christian. You're like, oh, whatever. That should be a joke to you, because if they're so-called Christian, you'd have never had slavery. You'd have never had Jim Crow. You'd have never had the Klan. You'd have had none of that thing if they were so-called Christian. That's why I say when they say a Christian, to me is a joke. They are so-called Christians ran and voted for Trump. So that lets you know how far their Christianity go. But, this is sick. But you know what? At the end of the day, black folks need to look at this and understand that now you pay attention to what that brother said, that because this happened, it started to unify them. And unification is where it's at. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said our unification is stronger than an atomic bomb. And these incidents are going to keep happening. They're not going away no time soon. They're going to keep happening to draw us to unification, because it's time for us to come together. And unfortunately, we can't come together on our own. It takes pressure for us to come together as a people. And once we come together, we can solve so many issues and problems going on within our community and also actually in this country that we live in. But we got to come together as one. We have to do that, because fighting each other over stupidity, when these folks come, they don't care about your education. They don't care about your so-called criminal record. They don't care about how much money you make or don't make. All they see you as the enemy. You're black. That's all they see. To the point in our community, understand that we are black people. We are our own group. And understand that when these people approach us, they don't care about what the things that you argue about in our community, light skin, dark skin, whatever. These people see you black and that's it. So we can argue about all that tribalism later. Let's deal with what we're dealing with right now. These white supremacists on the attack. How much more do they have to show you that they want to hurt and harm black people? Comment, let me know what you think about this particular video. But what I would say to churches is this. You definitely need to have your cameras. You definitely need to have armed security in this day and time, because it wasn't just your church. It was another incident that happened where the guy tried to go inside of the church, but the church door was locked. You guys got to lock your churches as well. I mean, we don't live in a good time period. These people are going to be doing more and more and more attacks. I'm trying to warn us of that. And not just us, if it's, the Muslim community, they need to watch out as well. The Jewish community, any other community outside of them, you need to watch out, because that's what they do. And that's how they survive. And they are, the spawn of Satan. And we base that off of their actions. Does everybody just have to be prepared for that?